You live from a golden beach. This is Knack and Jay. Hello once again and welcome.
Hello,
How are you doing?
everyone.
Hello. How are you doing, Eljay?
Well, I was fine, and then you joined the call.
Bruh.
Then
That's
I got
harsh.
stressed out.
That is harsh.
Is
It is
it?
very harsh.
Is it really?
It is.
Uh-huh. You're still playing Minecraft.
Of course.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
For what it is, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, too. I did actually forget something. I forgot to play the channel intro. But, yeah.
That's all right.
Sometimes it has them, sometimes it doesn't.
Essentially. That's all right. At least we got the actual intro this week.
Yeah.
Either way, let everybody. Yeah, I fumbled my words. Let us know in the comments or the chat if the volume sounds good, everything's good to go, and thank you all for being here.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate all of you.
Oh, really? All of us.
Occasionally, you.
Okay, I see how it is.
On occasions.
On occasion, yeah. It's not like, I don't know, I host it.
Not by my choice.
Yeah,
I
exactly. I heard the last TTV podcast. That's why it's not by your choice.
Boy. Like,
Ugh.
you've never made a volume problem.
Yes.
People learn through practice.
Yeah, okay. Practice with Brickfeed. Practice with Ninjago Cast. Practice with the TTV podcast, which you've scheduled for monthly releases. You have plenty of time to practice, and you've had plenty of time to practice. The last 5 years we've been streaming has been your practice time.
Eljay, I would advocate going on a low sodium diet. It would help you a lot.
I wish I could. Unfortunately, I have a constant intake of dealing with you. And you, being a Destiny player, are nothing but salt.
So let me tell you about the latest puzzle.
Do not tell me about the latest puzzle. I don't care about how you're torturing yourselves.
Oh boy. Well, speaking of torturing ourselves, no, as good of a segue as that would be, we have plugs to do first.
Mm-hmm.
So
We do.
If you would go ahead and enlighten us all as to the state of things.
Well, let me finish chewing my food.
Bruh.
Oh, I'm
Who
sorry.
eats on podcasts?
No, Meso, there's a difference. Eating on the podcast is one thing. Smacking in your microphone all podcast long is another.
I would never eat on podcasts. It's very unprofessional.
Everyone, I would like you to listen to TTV Podcast episode... TTV Podcast episode... Load a little faster. Number... This is going to take as long as it possibly can to load. Thank you. 341, everyone. 341. Okay. Okay.
Was it the one about my rice?
It was the one about your stinking rice. Your
The
burnt...
great irony
Burnt.
is that I wasn't eating rice.
Yeah, I know. You were eating something else. You were eating like...
I think it was eating chicken. Delicious chicken.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, everyone, we have a few plugs to make. I usually make these plugs, but there's been a slight change. First of all, just in case Copa decides to hit this video, make sure you head on over to the TTV message boards, board.ttvchannel.com, where you can join in the conversation. If you're 13 years or older, you can join, have fun talking with other fans, talking with other members of the LEGO community, and asking LEGO author Greg Farshty questions, if he's willing to answer them, of course. We don't actually have talkback topics yet.
Nope.
Which was promised.
Well, a lot of things were promised, like
Yeah.
our comments being gone.
Yeah, and like
things are in flux.
like a Jackbox video being released. So anyway,
Copa's full effect on our channel has not yet been determined, and what may have been the worst case scenario might not actually be. But I would still recommend following our alternative outlets in case it becomes such.
mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. TTV message boards. board.ttvchannel.com. Additionally, we have a Patreon. You can see that in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, patreon.com/the TTV We've been talking a little bit about trying to get to 100 patrons so that we can host a full-time survival factions Minecraft server on the island of Matanui. Well, I'm very happy to announce we have hit that goal, and as of yesterday, the server is live. We actually have people on it right now. Meso's playing it right now. It is a survival faction server on the island of Matanui. It has been a blast. I've been having a really good time with it. So in order to join that, become a patron, $1 a month is all we ask, and you can join that and the TTV Discord server.
Holla, holla, single dollar.
Thank you, Meso. Gosh dang it.
No worries.
That has been a blast. It is up now. Thank goodness. Let me see here. Finally, Twitter, at the TTV channel on Twitter, at Mesonak and at the Eljay Johnson. That's JOHNSEN.
Yep.
Happy now, Meso? I didn't forget.
I am happy.
You didn't have to prompt me.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Time to read out an incredible patron chat comment from Ulti. What's up, Eljay? It's me, Ulti.
It's me, Ulti. Don't mess with Ulti. You're going down, Ulti. You and the gamers faction are going down, okay? I'm not threatening you. I'm not warning you. I'm giving you a prophecy. I'm telling you what the future holds for you and your measly little faction. Because, mark my words, you will rue the day that you stepped foot in the island of Matanui. Bring it on, buddy.
Oh boy.
Bring
his latest comment.
it on. I have spotters. They're watching your footsteps, buddy. They're watching them.
Gamers rise up and gamers fall down.
Shut up.
That's all I'll say.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get on to the topic of the video today, which I don't really know how we're going to talk about this. It's been talked about to death at this point. It's been, oh heavens, it has been 4 years since G2 ended.
That's pretty wild. I'm
Actually,
not gonna lie.
It's been almost 4 years. It has been 3 years since it was officially canceled. It'll be 4 years this summer.
I mean, for me, like it's been fun because we announced we were doing it today, and people have gotten into like this conversation in our patron chat, just discussing G2 and the different merits behind it. And the fact of the matter is, over the course of the channel's history, like our channel boomed during the period of time where G2 came into prominence. So a lot of this stuff, pretty much everything that it has to offer, has been picked apart extensively by us over the years, to the point where there really isn't a stone left to unturn. But I don't think that you and I, in the context of today and the lessons learned, have ever just sat down and talked about it. It's always been a lot of TTV podcasts where it's just a bunch of screaming.
Yeah. I mean, nothing really has changed. Now it's just two people screaming.
Essentially. But G2 is a very complicated subject, and it's very relevant to the course of logic that Nak and Jay has been following along so far, kind of analyzing Bionicle and what it did wrong and what it did right, and how it could potentially be handled in the modern era if it were to come back. The interesting thing about G2 is that we know what it would be like if it came back, because it came back. The answers being, well, not pretty. That's what I'll say. So what we're going to do today on today's episode is we're going to kind of go through the history of G2 for people who might not have watched our videos back then, or people who might have forgotten a lot of stuff, or even some people who have found us since and are just kind of exploring Bionicle for the first time and have heard stories about Bionicle G2, but they don't really know what went down specifically. They just hear horror stories and memes. we'll fill you all in. We'll take you on this wonderful journey and chronicle G2 and give our thoughts on all the different stages it went through and what its legacy is in 2020. 4 years after it ended, 5 years after it started. This month is the 5 year anniversary
Mm-hmm.
of Bionicle G2,
That's correct.
which is wild to me on a number of levels.
Yep.
So to start off with, let's go back to 2010.
Ah, ew.
Go
No,
back
I don't want to go back to 2010.
really early. Epic callback to 2010. In our fledgling years as TTV, it was our first official year with the TTV channel, not on YouTube. We were on like BZ Power back then, doing online podcasts on like Podomatic.
Yep.
But we had been around for a little bit of time since 2009 doing IBZP, and we witnessed Bionicle's first cancellation. Pretty up close and personal. We got to experience that little adventure and see how that shook out. And then what we were left with was a community that was fractured. It was a community that was very upset, and as has been discussed, everybody processed their grief in different ways. Some people took to creative projects, some people took to petitions, all that stuff. We decided to just keep talking about Bionicle because we enjoyed it. We had just become friends. We had just started our podcast. There was still a wealth of things we had to explore. Plus, we would get to see, whatever new line comes about as a result of the cancellation and talk about that. And shortly thereafter, Hero Factory made its exciting debut. And the results were a cool theme. It was fun. I happened to enjoy it a lot, but there wasn't really a lot to talk about with it. The story wasn't really anything to speak of. Lego made the decision to go a much simpler route. The story was delivered in much simpler venues. There wasn't a lot of complexity. So us as a discussion podcast, when it comes to HF, we're kind of left floundering a little bit. There wasn't as much there as maybe we would have hoped there would be. But we just keep doing stuff. We keep making our content throughout the years, trying to do basically whatever we could to eke out discussion value from HF, from G1, from the whole debacle with Greg and Valika and all that information that was going on around that time. And then 2013 hits. Hero Factory is in its brain attack wave, and someone stumbles upon a LinkedIn page from someone named Asger Johansson. And it states that he is working on development of a new action figure theme, or I think it was a new just action theme, he called it. I don't think he even called it action figure necessarily, for the year of 2015. And everyone took this and ran with it as rampant speculation. I wonder what this could be.
Yeah, part of that was our fault, because specifically us,
fault.
You and I made that video talking about it.
We did, and we titled it literally the most clickbaity thing ever. What was it? Return of Bionicle in 2015? Question mark.
See. I'll find it. I'm on the channel.
I'm not proud of that video. Not the content of it, because we were spot freaking on, but the presentation of it.
That's the one you're not proud of? Okay.
It's not like I'm proud of the other one, but this one was about Bionicle, clickbait.
There we go. Return of Bionicle / End of Hero Factory in 2015. Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark.
Oh, that's perfect.
We made it on December 11th, 2013.
Dang. So yeah, this was right when Invasion from Below is coming out, actually. Oh boy. I wish we had taken a screenshot of the page in the video, but I don't think we actually did. We just used stock imagery.
Let me check.
Because it'd be a fun thing to refer back to.
Yeah, no, we did not. I mean, we read it off in the video, but I'm not going to listen to that right now.
No, it basically it stated there was a new theme in development, and for some reason or another, whether it was because of his wording or just our rampant speculation, we were kind of wondering, what could this potentially be? If HF is ending, could it be Bionicle? Is it a new theme? Who knows? But we knew something was coming. And as Hero Factory went along, it became increasingly clear to those who followed it that it was going nowhere fast, and that its story was hemorrhaging, and its fan base was too. So it wasn't really any surprise to hear the news that HF might be going away. It was just a matter of what would replace it. So the months go on, and then when was it? Was it May or June? Somewhere around that point, halfway through the year, we receive word through the leak grapevine that Bionicle is coming back. And it was in the form of the infamous black and white, display, the whole controversy with Highly Suspect, the whole leaked imagery, which at first we did not believe until we heard more about it. And then we were kind of forced to confront the fact that this was probably true based on all the feedback that we were hearing behind the scenes. So we come out and we're like, all right, this is actually a thing. Let's get out in front of this, and let's actually let's stake a claim that this is happening. And that is exactly what we did. We came out and we were like, look, I understand you might not want to believe us. You might not know who we are at this point, but we have heard that this is a reality and we believe it to be true. Take that as you will. And then, of course, the months go on. We learn more and more. We get set pictures, we get set names. On September 19th, 2014, Lego officially announces it with the fabled Mask of Creation picture. Lego has their
Picture
big
and
booth
animation.
and this nice shiny spinning animation. It was great.
They were like, BZP, look, you can use this for whichever year spinny you want to do. And then they didn't use it. They used a light blue Mask of Creation.
That is a bummer.
That's fine.
So all that happens, and then they officially reveal it at New York Comic Con in October of 2014, which we were lucky enough to be able to attend and cover pretty much as it was being made available, the news, which was really just a treasure that we got to experience. That the community had a resurgence like never before. People were energized. People were ready and raring to go. They were excited that the Toa were coming back. They were excited that it looked like from the set pictures that there was a return to, form with the Toa. They very clearly evoked their G1 counterparts. There was a return to their old color schemes, mostly. There was a lot of transparent pieces. There was a lot of cool stuff. Everybody was doing great. And then
2015 started.
2015 began. And that's when our story truly kicks off into high gear. How are you doing around this time, Eljay?
Bionicle's sitting here like, once I was a towering giant. Millions in global sales, with millions of fans across the world. Then, a terrible evil attacked or something like, the beginning of the Legend Reborn. Anyway. Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah.
I was right alongside you guys in every way except for actually and physically. I didn't go to New York. But I held down the fort and the channel while you guys were off doing that. And I was excited. I was super stoked. I was like, heck yeah. This is going to be great. I'm going to get all these sets. I'm really, really looking forward to this. Speculation was through the roof. I was super happy that on the podcast we were just speculating. What could it mean? What could it be? Is this connected to Generation 1? Is it not? Is that Liwa? We don't know because we didn't really have high quality pictures.
So it was a treat. It really was.
It was.
To be a part of that kind of speculation, to be a part of the community that we'd done our best to be a part of over the last 5 years, but it was kind of hard when there wasn't new content coming out on the regular. There was a toxic cloud kind of around people's moods a lot of the time with Greg stopping running the story. being a part of the process of figuring out that Bionicle was actually really truly coming back was the best part of G2, bar none. It was the best part of that whole process was the process of figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Never before have people's spirits been so high and so raised. Um, we just got a super chat from Trevor Samora who sent us $20 and says, "Sorry, I can't stay for the show. Sounds like it will be pretty interesting. Have a great night." Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Um,
Trevor. You have a great night. Thank you very much.
yeah, and hope you enjoy. I'll put up the recorded version promptly so you can listen to it.
Mhm.
Um, things were very very good at this time, which is why what happened was just so so crushing. Um, Different people have they went through different experiences when it comes to G2. There's very few people who will tell you in 2020 that G2 is awesome and they love it and it's just the best thing ever.
They
But
they're go ahead, finish. Sorry.
there's very few people like that. They do exist, but they're very uncommon.
Mhm.
Um, what does vary is the points by which things started to drop off, if that makes any sense. Like that is definitely different person to person because a lot of people were totally on board with what Jutsu was offering until a certain point where they were lost. Um, I can only speak for myself, and I will say that they lost me very early on.
I mean,
Uh,
I don't know when they really ever had you.
they had me very short of an amount of time. Literally, they had me from June of 2014 to November of 2014. As sad as that is to say. Um, the time by which I started to fall off was at New York Comic Con when we were back home after it had ended and we got to hear the interviews done with the team. And that one guy whose name escapes me said that they were voiced by the same. They were voiced by the same person. That he couldn't. I think it was something like the guy does a really funny voice for Pohatu, and he can't wait to hear that because it differentiates him from the other Toa. And I did like a quadruple take, and I was like, oh, because up till this point it had followed a very distinct progression. It was Bionicle's back and it's awesome and they're doing everything right to please the older fans. And we go to New York Comic Con and we see they have a massive display with a trailer for their new animated show. It's probably going to be on Cartoon Network or something. It's probably going to be incredible. It's going to be just like Ninjago because that's what Ninjago is doing. And it's going to be this massively successful thing. And then I heard that and everything changed because that to me was an indicator both of intent and also just the budget and the production values that were going to go into it. Because doing it in an audiobook format where one guy reads all the characters' voices can only really be done. It's hard to say because I don't want to make blanket claims because still to this day we don't know a lot of things regarding G2's budget and stuff, but it sounds to me like that's never a decision that would be made because that's what somebody wants to do and that's what's best for the product, if that makes any sense. It sounds like a decision that's made because that's the only thing they can do to get the product out there. I would think that most people, if given the choice, would of course like to see their story for their potential new IP done justice with a full-fledged, series with a full voice cast and proper characterization. That is done for like audiobooks, probably because they can't afford to hire voice actors for every single character in a book. It's done for fan projects and fan films because it's an independent process. It is done independently with a small scale and a small scope. Hearing that that was the direction, they lost me, and they never got me back after that.
Oh yeah, we
Because
know.
because I knew that I wasn't gonna get what I wanted from this Bionicle, and every decision made thereafter just reinforced that. Um, but again, back then I was the only person really saying that, not because I don't think the others agreed, but because there were still other things about the project and the theme that interested all of you guys, and there might have still been a chance that you guys could get what you wanted out of it. Um, at least that's what I think is the case. Would you say that's a fair thing to say?
I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. See, here's my thing. I was still enjoying it, even with the animations. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up an animation picture right now. By the way, let's just go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Toa one. I really like that one.
Nice.
Even with the animations being the way they were, it didn't really dissuade me from the fact that I was just having fun with it. It's like, all right, Bionicle is back. There's new content to consume and discuss. It hasn't knocked me off the train of excitement that I got on in 2014. And yeah, it was just the first year. There was still time left to see what could happen.
Yeah.
Now,
I think it's the presupposition that killed it. The expectation. I this is what really caused my whole skeptic realism thing. The whole meme of that being my philosophy. It really
worst thing to come out of all this.
The best meme ever stemmed from that, because I do fully blame my expectations for my disappointment. Wanting that TV show, wanting that Cartoon Network program, wanting that full scale, full budget thing, and not getting it was a hard thing to
It was a hard pill to swallow.
from. It was. It definitely was.
Yeah.
And the animations by themselves, I used to really not like them, but over the years since, I've come around on them a lot. I think they were fine for what they were. They were fine as a product. Like, the voice actor did a pretty good job. The art was awesome. I loved the art direction. And I think as a vessel by which to get kids into the story, the online animations were pretty good. They gave the story of Bionicle in a consolidated, short time frame. They broke down all the themes into easy to understand, bullet points. And they introduced all the characters in record time. But they... Wait, what?
No, you can finish your point. There's another point I wanted to bring up.
All I'm saying is they can't sustain the entire theme. And for 8 months of 2015, they're all we had.
I think they actually did a perfectly reasonable job given what they had to do, which was to sustain the theme. It's not actually my issue. I mean, I can't say, oh no, we only got animations, and that's not enough story for me. My favorite Bionicle year is 2001. 2001 had no animations. Well, no, it had the Monog animations every month. So, fair enough. Comparable in comparison in that case. Here's the difference between 2001 and 2015. Consistency. Now, consistency is something I like to throw around and talk about and talk up quite a bit, because consistency breeds expectation. For 2001, you had a consistent monthly release. Every month, you would get a new chapter to the story. For G2 and their animations, you had no idea when anything was coming out in a language that you could understand. They came out haphazardly, and that's what I think the problem was. If they came out reliably, consistently, and without any leaks, I think we'd be talking a different tune, because we could rely on them to come out at a certain time to discuss what happens in them. Unfortunately, 1 week we might get them in Russian. 2 weeks later, maybe it's in French. 5 weeks later, Oh, hey, look, it's out in English now. Cool. There was no consistency. In addition to that, the animations are much better being binged. One long video is a lot better to consume them as than a bunch of split up individual ones that are released haphazardly.
None of which I disagree with. Certainly, it would be better if they were presented in that way. The breaks, the scheduling, the leaks, that all did definitely diminish our ability to talk about them. I don't think it would have changed that much because at the end of the day, there really isn't anything to talk about in them.
Mm.
They're very straightforward. They're very bog standard. They're very watered down. I think that they, as a companion piece, would be totally fine, and I would actually commend them a lot. But they, as the entire Bionicle story for 8 months, and then the only thing that comes out in August is basically just a recap of the animations, and then you wait another 4 months for actual new story content. Yeah, they're not great. They're too simplistic. They've watered too much down. They're basically walking memes. That's the only thing people take from them. I didn't slip. I can feel the power. They're just memed upon. They're bite-sized, like consolidations, minute and a half long. I guess check boxes of what an exec would think that kids would like from a Bionicle reboot. Masks, check. Prophecies, check. Elder who's asleep and needs to be awoken, check. Rahi, check. One of them lost. It felt very, very checklist-y. But again, if we had gotten an actual TV show or books or monthly Lego Club comics, and then you had the animations come out on the app or whatever, or be posted on the Bionicle YouTube channel for kids to be like, all right, here, get into this. And then if you like this, level up to more advanced material. That would have been incredible. Because literally last week we talked about the story serials and all their complexity. And I'm just like, yeah, they may have taken it a bit too far in some places. I don't necessarily agree with the whole philosophy of dumbing down Bionicle, but I get it. I get why, as a business decision, you might need to make things a bit more palatable for kids to be able to get into it, but not to the degree that they did. There was no, it's like Weird Wars 5 says in the YouTube chat, there was no mystery. There was no invitation to explore the world. Everything that there was laid out for you, except for the Toa's origins, which we'll get into. But the animations were pretty much all there was for the year of 2015. There was the book Island of Lost Masks, but it was 80% recap, almost verbatim.
Yeah.
What little new content it had was very superfluous stuff that we would argue about on podcasts, like whether or not a building's architecture could be considered culture.
Oh,
Stuff like that.
my
Remember those debates?
goodness. I had forgotten about them because they were stupid. They were the stupidest friggin' thing.
The fact that that was what was being discussed, like, kind of speaks to what little there actually was to talk
I don't know
about.
well, yeah, no, I suppose so.
I didn't derive any enjoyment from talking about it either. It was stupid. It was grasping at straws. Like 2016, we'll get into that. That did a better job, but 2015 was very vacuous. It basically just boiled down to, do the animations bother you? Check yes or no. All right, just wait at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout all this, there was the Vahi controversy.
Gosh dang it, I'd forgotten about the Vahi. Okay, so this
Do
is
you
the
want to fill people in?
yeah. I'll go ahead and do that. This is a stupid controversy because it's twofold. One, it involves the Vahi, and two, it involves us. So
Hello.
I didn't. Yeah, Maso, Var, and only Maso and Var went to New York Comic Con in 2014 to go check out Bionicle coming back. They went. They went to an after show or after party or what have you at a Lego store and hung out with some of the people working on the theme. They got to talking to them. They asked one of them a question about the Vahi. Hey, basically, is it connected? Is G1 connected to G2? The guy said, I'm paraphrasing here. Yeah, it's connected through the Vahi. Think XYZ Star Trek movie, one of the new ones by J.J. Abrams.
Specifically in reference to the phrase soft reboot.
There you go. It's a soft reboot. So, that was done. We put it on the TTV website. Hey everyone, it's a soft reboot. Somebody else who was there at the time disagreed with this. They said that the guy never said that, and they were listening on the conversation.
Or he said it in a different context than what we were implying.
Yeah, that's something to that effect. And so they tried to say that we were, and this is where this comes from, spreading misinformation.
Yes. The classic meme. TTV spreads misinformation. Look, here's the thing. Specifically at this point, at the New York Comic Con party, the Vahi was not... Nothing had been talked about in regards to it yet. What was interesting was when we asked the dude, is G1 connected to G2? His response was, there's a Mask of Time in G1. There's also a Mask of Time in G2. Shrug. And we were like, well, what does that mean? Could it be like, are you implying it might be a soft reboot, like the Star Trek movies? And he was like, yes. It's quite possible to this day that the dude was not familiar with the Star Trek movies in question to understand what was being talked about. But anyone who knows there's a connotation with that the old canon still matters in some way or could matter in some way. And now this is skipping around a little bit, but most recently, I believe 2 years ago now, maybe a little earlier, I don't know, we received confirmation through a leaked style guide that they intentionally made the Vahi an ambiguous thing to get people speculating. That they intentionally wanted people to craft theories on how or why there could be, the lower half of the Vahi in G1 and the upper half of the Vahi in G2, and how that could possibly link the two universes together. Lots of speculation for everyone, basically, which is frustrating if you want concrete answers to your questions. But as a Lego product, which supports creativity and speculation, it kind of makes sense. Either way, we were not crazy that the guy at the panel who had probably read that style guide, or at least was aware of the mandate regarding it, would answer in such a cagey way to imply that there is a connection there. So I will say this forever. We were 100% justified in reporting on that as we did, and vindication tastes very sweet.
I mean, you're telling me.
That's what I'll say. No, it doesn't really matter now because obviously nothing ever came from it.
Yeah.
It's not like they ever did anything with it in the story, which we never said they would. It was a possibility, but no, did we actually think that one day they were going to just open a portal and they were going to go back to Spherus Magna and fight Marindar? No, we're not idiots. We're not freaking stupid. But there was a degree of, are these the same Toa? Are these the same characters who have just been lost in time somehow with amnesia? Ooh, wouldn't that be interesting? Because they keep, making reference to the fact that they don't know their own past. and that's all it ever was. But this was a constant source of debate all through 2015. And the animators for the show didn't really make it any easier on people because they kept putting the Vahi in as like an Easter egg.
Yeah, in every single episode, it was either in the background as a cloud or as a formation in lava or as a formation underground. It was in everything. Every episode has a Vahi.
Yeah. So all that did was fuel speculation one way or another. So 2015 comes, 2015 ends, and all we've had are the animations and the one book. At the very end of 2015, I think it was December 29th, we got the first graphic novel, Gathering of the Toa, and the second book, Revenge of the Skull Spiders. And both of these were interesting as they were primarily new content. Even if Gathering of the Toa still rehashed some parts of the animations, it was mostly a collection of side stories about the Toa on their journey to fight loss and meet up with each other. And there was some world building stuff there and some cool aspects. And Revenge of the Skull Spiders was an entirely new story. It was about the protectors fighting the skull spiders who were trying to wake up Loss after he'd been knocked out, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And both were fine. Neither were anything special, but both were fine. None of us really had any major issues with either of them. Writer Wyndham, the author for the books, came in and looked at a lot of the decisions G2 was making, like not giving the characters proper names, and was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. So he gave names for all the protectors, which was much appreciated and earned him a lot of respect, and also made up a bunch of cultural things on Okoto, like the Festival of the Masks and stuff, to give the island some more character of itself. And remember the Festival of the Masks, because we will be coming back to that. But for now, what did you think of those two books? Were you pretty happy with writer Wyndham's work and the graphic novel?
Yeah. No, I think he did a really good job on everything basically. For the graphic novel, we did. Well, oh gosh, okay, they blur together for me, like a lot. So I honestly like. I've got a picture from the graphic novel on screen now. I don't remember which one it's from, though. I hazard it's the second. Okay, it's the second one. I like them. I thought they did a good job fleshing things out. It gave us a lot of character. It gave us a lot of information on the Toa. We got to spend time with a lot of new characters. It was exactly what Generation 2 needed. It needed stuff like this to make it more organic, more alive. And it just didn't have it. Like, I like the animations. And I don't think they're fantastic, but I like them for what they are. But I agree with you. We needed more than that. There had to be something else. This is really what we needed. Imagine if they took these graphic novels and just split the chapters up in every single new Brickmaster.
That'd be so good.
That's what we really needed to have happen so that we could have a constant feed of new content. But they didn't do that.
Nope. They definitely did not.
But no,
I'm glad,
I like both the book and the graphic novel.
Yeah, we may as well talk about the second one, because like you said, they blur together. That was the next thing to come out in like May or April or something.
I'll double check.
Battle the Mask Makers was probably the second best thing to come out of G2, because it was history, and we learned a lot about the world from that book and about the ancient protectors who had come before. And we got to see things like Akimu's giant airship and how masks are actually made and the crystals that are used to make them.
Here we go.
And everything went down. Specifically, we got to see the lower part of the Vahi designed for the first time exclusively for this graphic novel.
The upper part.
Oh, sorry, the upper part. My bad.
Yeah, also April 26th, 2016 was when the second graphic novel came out.
Got it. It was really cool. It was a great graphic novel. To this day, I have very few complaints over it, except the fact that prototype protector names somehow got slipped in and confused everybody. Like an entire other section of 6 names was slipped in addition to the 6 names that were the actual ancient protectors, and it was just convoluted and a mistake. That's like my only criticism about the book. It was really good. Um, Likewise, Escape from the Underworld was legit. It was really good. It felt like a classic Bionicle story. You know, new factions. They actually gave the stupid skull villains from 2015 some relevance, some character. At least one of them, Kulta, the skull grinder. It was a good book. It wasn't amazing, but I looked at that, I read that, and I was like, this fits in with an old Bionicle story. This feels like it could have been a book, or maybe a book's too optimistic, maybe like a story serial, an old Bionicle. It's pretty good. It's pretty cool. So morale was kind of on high as 2016 went on because Ryder Wyndham was taking center stage, and he was finally doing stuff, and the community was pretty happy with the way things were going. Maybe it wasn't where it needed to be just yet, but there was a positive advancement happening, only to find out that the books and the graphic novels were canceled, which we learned way before we knew of the theme's actual cancellation.
Well, we kind of sort of found out. I'm pretty sure Takuma still has the pre-order listed for the third graphic novel on his Amazon. They haven't removed any of those. You pre-ordered the third graphic novel. The date came and went. Nothing. We didn't hear anything. Amazon didn't let you know. Lego sure as heck didn't let you know. You just had this pre-order on your Amazon for something that has no cover, no information, and a release date that's now passed.
Yep. And I think Ryder Wyndham confirmed, or we heard from somewhere, that there were no more, there was nothing more planned, essentially. And that was very depressing because the animations were gone, the books and the graphic novels were gone, and they were actually showing an improvement. They were actually delivering what we wanted to see. And all we were left with, the only thing left standing, was this promise that we had been given, this announcement that had been made, that Bionicle was actually getting a Netflix TV show.
Oh my goodness.
It was actually happening. It was factually going to happen. We wanted a show. We were getting a show. And it was coming to Netflix, which meant it was going to be more mature, and it was going to be super cool and awesome. And we didn't have to worry about Cartoon Network scheduling it and failing it. In that manner, it was going to be wonderful. Bionicle, the journey to one. All of our hopes rested on this. And 2 episodes came out, and it was pretty good.
3, technically. And I actually realized, so technically, yeah, it was kind of sort of 2. 2 of entirely new story content. This is going to be for the 2016 story year.
Yup.
However, there was a prelude, a 3rd episode, which was primarily the 2015 animations. And I actually thought this was great. This was super clever. It recontextualized the 2015 animations as a story being told, which is how it was kind of sort of intended to be. You know, one narrator voicing everyone, and in Journey to One, it is it's what's his name? Not Nilku. That's not who it is. Not Izator. It's Narmoto. It's Narmoto telling a story about 2015. And I thought that was a great use of them and a great recontextualization and kind of see, this is what we were going for. I really thought that was clever. I liked it.
For sure. It was a great way to do all that, and recontextualization helped dramatically. And the episodes were all right too. They wasn't perfect. It was kind of cheesy. They had weird voice filters, but
yeah,
it was all right. But we were both pretty happy, as well as all of us in TTV, after the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, no, I was reasonably content. I was a little bit upset that they didn't reach out to me to play Liwa, but you know what? I respect who they went with, and Jeff Hughes did an admirable job.
Yeah. It was good. We were all pretty happy with Journey to One at that point. And then there was the wait.
Yes.
There was the wait for the next 2 episodes.
Let me see. When did those episodes come out?
I would love to know.
Here, let me find out. I think I have the posters, like the high def posters, downloaded. Here. Okay, the posters do not tell me. Cool, awesome. I will go to BS01.
Solid. There was a wait for the next 2 episodes of Journey to One, and I think this is where the book came out, was during this wait. I don't think there was nothing for months.
Here we go. Okay, so the first 2/3 episodes came out March 4th, and the last 2 came out July 29th. So the third book came out June 28th.
Okay, yeah. There you go. It was the book was pretty much the only thing in between. So hopes were riding high on Journey to One, and boy, did it all blow up in a spectacular, amazing fashion. With literally a cavalcade of woe and misfortune raining down upon us like a freaking avalanche.
Okay, so imagine this, okay? You start off your new TV show, something BIONICLE fans have been asking for well over a decade at this point. You start off your show, you introduce your characters, you get a understanding, a grip of what's going on, okay? And it's all doing well. Cool fight scenes. Liwa is still the best Toa in the series. Everything is going according to plan. It's excellent. Then, second episode happens. Another sweet intrigue, fight scene. All the Toa are going to a place, and they're. This is when they do go to the labyrinth. Yeah, they go to this new location. There's mystery. There's intrigue. There's stuff happening. They fight Umarak again. Liwa again, still best Toa. Perfect. Everything's going according to plan. And then it ends on a cliffhanger of Umarak transforming into lesser good Umarak. And you know what? Is it flawless? No. But is it good? Yeah, I would say the first good. 2 episodes are pretty good. Animation,
I thought it was
exquisite.
Just on par with the old movies.
Yeah.
In a different way, but
yeah,
roughly on par.
Exactly. Season 2 happens. And your intrigue is gone. You now have to rush into explaining why all these new summer sets are here. You transform a whole bunch of shadow traps into these new creature beast things. And everything rushes along to your conclusion with no real explanation for anything. Pohatu does something. Can anyone else do that? Who knows? Ikimu does something. Can anyone else do that? Who knows? How'd he do that? Who knows? They go to a place. How do Umarak do that? Who knows? Makuta's coming back? Who knows? Shadow Realm? That's a new thing. When did that become a thing? Well, actually here. Really? Can we go there? Who knows? How's Umarak doing that? Who knows? How's he bringing the mask back? Who knows? You know, how is XY? It's rushed along with no explanation, and then you get to the end. And if you had any hope for a satisfying conclusion where you find out anything about the Toa, and keep in mind, we're all watching this going, guys, this feels like an ending. This feels like a series finale. Is this a series finale that we're watching? We get to the 4th episode. Guys, they're all lifting into the air to fight Makuta. They're pushing back against Makuta. Wait, hold on. Before that, Gally is literally reading the script for the show. She's back now. How'd she do that? Who knows? She's explaining, we are the elements. We don't need to worry about being connected to Okoto. We're the elements. Great. Now you have just caught up to being on par with the last series characters. Every Toa could use elements as a default. You're now up to that level after spending a year and a half of not knowing whether or not your masks were what you used to control your power? Or what have you. Could you use them without your masks? Well, I guess you couldn't. That's great to know now. So she reads the script, she comes back, they lift into the air, they push Makuta back, and then they shoot back into the stars. How did they do that? Who knows? Will they be back? Who knows? Why did it end with no actual resolution to anything concrete, with no answers, no delving into anything that we actually cared about or that they built up after all this time? Who knows?
Ambiguity was the name of the game. Ambiguity and just not caring about maintaining internal consistency, really. Like, we know what happened now, thanks to people who actually attended this behind closed doors screening of the ending of Journey to One. A bunch of people did from the Bionicle community, not us, but
We weren't invited.
some people were not invited, but some people in the
Why?
Bionicle
Who
community
knows?
elite got to.
Not even just the Bionicle community elite. It was random Lego websites that had gotten invited as well. Not random in the sense that, who are they? No, I'm talking like Brickset. Why? They don't care about Bionicle. Why were they invited?
People who have no love for the theme,
They don't-
basically.
Yeah, it's ended. Okay, who cares? They've never given any solid interest in the theme. Fine. So, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We know based on that what their assessment is of what happened, which is that the theme was canceled midway through production of the Journey to One, and so the Journey to One writers had to compress the planned 3 years back into just 2 years and actually give this theme some sense of finality and closure by compressing all of the plans down into those last 2 episodes, which is why things seem absolutely bananas and why things just go totally off the rails in the 11th hour in the story.
Yeah.
To the point where you can barely even follow what's going on coherently. I'll never forget the one scene that really just sells it home to me is the scene where Umarak, he takes the Toa's weapons and he throws them into the portal, and he's bantering back and forth with Akimu over not having enough power to get Makuta out, and whatnot, because he's just like drained. Akimu did like a solar flare basically with a gill to stun Umarak or whatever, and he's like, "You have not collected enough pieces of the mask. You cannot summon Makuta." And then Umarak is like, "So you say, but you forget I have been bathed in your elemental light, ancient one. It was you who gave me the power I needed." And then he chucks the weapons in, and then he summons Makuta somehow. So like what Akimu just did was what enables him to win, but I thought what Akimu did was stopping him from winning. That was what his whole power-up was for. After he did the power-up, he reverts back into his tiny form.
Yeah.
But I guess he just helped Umarak
And of course, where did Gil go? Who knows? How do you do that? Who knows? Have they done this before? You know the answer. Who knows?
Zajura in the YouTube chat asks one of my favorite questions. What the heck does Journey to One even mean? To this day, I don't really know. It's an illusion.
It's such a contradiction to the prior year, where they hammered in the one consistent thing they wanted you to know and understand was, don't combine 6 elements into one mask. Don't do it. It's taboo. All right? United, but not one. Okay? That was the tagline. That was in everything. That's what just kept on getting hammered in. That was the wisdom that the Toa needed to take away and that you as a viewer needed to understand. Together, but not one. And in the next series, Journey to One. All right, we're throwing all the prior rules out the window. Never mind.
Ozkabot says 1 represents the Rotten Tomatoes score. It's a meta commentary.
Does this even have a Rotten Tomatoes? I'm going to look this up.
I wish.
Bionicle
So.
Journey to
And at that
One.
point, literally the following morning, they were like, "Yeah, it's canceled."
I thought
The
it was
following
that
morning, they
night.
issued. No, it was the following morning. They did the press release, and they were just like on their website, "Yeah, it marks the end." The sets didn't even get released in certain countries. The summer wave. And then, of course, the whole Makuta kerfluffle, where the Makuta model used in Journey to One was not actually a set that was going to be produced. It was just a combo model that you could build with a bunch of other sets, and they never released the Mask of Ultimate Power. So it was just a complete botchery in basically every way. It was just a non-stop string of disappointments that just kept getting worse as you go along. It was actually kind of spectacular how it all shook out. What are you finding? Does it have one?
No, it does not.
Rip. So that's the history of Bionicle G2, at least from a media perspective. The sets we've already talked about a little bit, but I'm sure we can go back over those. The sets were pretty
Nah.
great.
I mean, I'm not feeling it. We already did.
Yeah, just go listen to our best and worst Bionicle sets, video. We're not the kind of people. I see a lot of people in the YouTube chat and the Discord server talking about the benefits of CCBS versus the G1 system. That's going to actually, not to spoil, but we are going to talk about that in the future. So don't get me wrong. I understand the merits behind that debate. That's just not what we're going to be really delving into in this episode. Suffice to say, neither of us personally believe CCBS is a reason why G2 failed.
No. That's a silly thing to suggest, personally, because it suggests that everyone collectively said, ew, CCBS, as if Hero Factory and the Star Wars construction figures didn't last more than 5 years.
Yeah. The Star Wars construction figures alone outlived Bionicle G2. And HF lasted a full 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I only a half of a year of HF was spent without CCBS, I believe.
You are correct, yes.
Yeah. So it's like, no. G2, they didn't switch the name to Bionicle, and then everyone went, oh, no, now I don't like it. No.
Yeah, but I know there's merits to discussing the values between the two, and we will do that in a future episode. For now, in totality, I like to look at things from the realm of story and media because that's what can really be like broken down in such minute detail. You know what I mean? That's really what we can sink our teeth into. G2 was a relatively hollow experience. The title of this video is Why It Failed. And what I think a good reason for that, what you can really summarize it all down to, because a lot of people throw out so many different things, it comes down to two things. All right? It is a lack of confidence and it is a lack of vision. Those are the two things that I would say why I believe G2 failed. They did not have the vision that G1 had to establish a plan for the theme and carry it out. They just kind of improved. We know from our interview with Ryder Wyndham, the story Bible was never even complete. It kept getting changed. It kept getting added to. It kept getting revised. He never even knew what he could write because the rules kept changing. And then at that point, the rest of the story follows suit. The rest of the story keeps just inventing new things, to be the new focal point of the theme without them being hinted towards before, without them having a place in the overall grand narrative. They're just kind of each doing their own thing. Here's a book about an army of skeleton pirates that Makuta tried to ally with to rain havoc on Okoto. But where were these guys mentioned before? Will they ever be important again? Never. Is there oh, I lost my train of thought for a second. Here's the Mask of Time. Here's the Mask of Time in use. Will it ever have importance later on? Why was it ever important to start with? Who knows? The Toa having this feeling of familiarity with the labyrinth of control, the creatures. Why? What is the point of this in the overall grand narrative? There was no coherence. There was no consistency to the process. Everybody had their own idea. Everybody had their own vision, and there was no theme architect. There was no person to sit at the top of the story and kind of dictate the flow of things. There was no Greg. There was no, as much as he's memed nowadays, there was no Christian Faber. There was no Bob Thompson. There was nobody. You had Volta doing Journey to One, Merlin Mann writing the online animations, and Ryder Wyndham doing the books. And none of them really communicated with each other in any way. And that led to the story being very cluttered and very uneven and very shaky in terms of its presentation. And then the second problem, a lack of confidence. I don't even really need to expound on that. You all know what I mean. It's the budget. It's the fact they didn't want to give the characters names. It's the fact that they had just such a little amount of faith that Bionicle could be successful that they had to take every possible shortcut and they had to avoid doing anything that might be construed as risky. They had to play it extremely safe and they had to pander to all of the OG fans for their nostalgia. And they had to invest the least amount of money in this thing possible in case it failed. So even though Hero Factory got a TV show, even though Ninjago got a TV show, even though Nexo Knights got a TV show, even though Legends of Chima got a TV show, even though Lego Elves got a TV show, Bionicle could not get a TV show. Bionicle had to make its debut with webisodes in about the least amount of effort you can possibly do for an official product in the realm of their production. That is not to diminish the work of the voice actor whose name I don't recall off the top of my head, or Merlin Mann who wrote them. But it was basically a two-man show plus the animators. You had a very small team associated with the production of those shorts. Making it debut in that manner was very detrimental. And following it up with the Netflix show was too little too late, because by that point the decision to make the theme end abruptly had already been made. And to this day we still don't know the concrete reason for that, because apparently their sales were fine. Apparently they were profitable, if you believe Lego's Twitter. So that leaves, maybe it was canceled because they needed to allocate the budget elsewhere. It's no secret that was a very crazy time for Lego. They were coming out with multiple movies, Lego Batman and Lego Ninjago. It's my personal theory. I think we had some evidence at some point that supported this, but I forget what it is off the top of my head. Maybe you remember that the theme was canned in order to facilitate its marketing budget being put towards the movie. Or rather, the movies made it to where they couldn't afford to do as many themes, and so there had to be cutbacks.
I've heard a variety of different things. One thing I have heard, a member of another Bionicle website has made the claim that it's because Ninjago came back from its prior cancellation or end that the budget for Bionicle got slashed. Of course, I haven't actually talked to him about it, and I've never seen a direct screenshot about it. He's also the person that said we were spreading misinformation, so I have no idea. Who knows? I'll broach it with him in the future. So I don't really know, honestly.
It's really tough. It's tough to figure out, because if you believe that it was not a sales issue, then the possibilities shrink dramatically. But I don't know. We'll never know for certain. Maybe Ozkabot's right. Because Bionicle sold so amazingly well that they canceled it because they didn't want it embarrassing other themes. It's just business.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
Real quick, couple things. First of all, Andrew Jeffers was the voice actor for the animations. I also seen. I'm of the opinion that he did a really good job, all things considered. But they definitely should have had 2 voice actors for the animations, him and me. Me just playing Liwa, he does everybody else. I think that would have been absolutely fantastic. Lego, I'm just saying. Anyway.
So, I got a super chat from Roy Batilana. I pledged Canadian $5. He says, "My boy Makuta, that staff is really cool. God, I wish we got an actual set." Me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too.
I need to make corrections to it. I'm hoping to make a couple of corrections that have been brought to my attention. So I will be going over it again in the 2016 combo models. But
very nice.
Yeah.
And then so that's my 2 things: a lack of confidence and a lack of vision. I would say there's also the other factor, which is that, and this is kind of something we've already talked about in prior episodes of Knack and Jay, it's very difficult for Bionicle to establish its own identity when it's in direct direct competition with Ninjago, another very popular Lego juggernaut of a theme. And Ninjago has an established fan base and a movie and a show and a very similar story to Bionicle, not in terms of story content, but in terms of how the story is presented versus a theme like, Chima or whatever. It has a similar mythology, elements, etc., etc. It checks a lot of the similar boxes. Bionicle would need a lot to be able to actually compete against basically Lego's own product, and maybe they didn't want to invest so much in something when they could just invest more money in Ninjago. Shrug. Hard to say. What?
This chat and YouTube live chat from Dr. Ongo Bongo. Kazi is going to be the main character of Bionicle Generation 2.5. It will journey across the land, stop Velika's riddling nonsense.
Oh my god.
I never liked your riddles anyway.
That is brilliant.
I'm sorry. I just found that
funny. That's over. I mean, those are my 3 points. Like, it can be discussed in greater detail, of course, but that is, to me, what it all boils down to at the end of the day. Nobody had any faith, especially in the realm of marketing, which we've talked about many, many, many times. How Lego essentially wanted the community to market the theme for them. They essentially wanted us to do all the work and create this hype machine and play their contests and play their games and get their golden masks and do all this stuff to essentially advertise the theme through word of mouth, basically.
That was a really dumb idea.
It was a really dumb idea. And they had these contests like build your own villain. Remember that? And those were cool, but they only really appealed to the dedicated fans. They only really appealed to the people who were already Bionicle fans, who were already on,
like, websites.
Who were already on these sites.
Yeah.
They were already part of the active, high affinity fan base. They weren't the people you needed to be advertising to.
Yeah. No, what they needed to do is what they did in 2001. Put these things in the magazines. Put them in the Brickmasters. Put them in your catalogs. Say, hey, we're running a contest. You should be part of it.
Because that can engage people who aren't necessarily Bionicle fans already.
Yeah.
Bionicle super fans. So, that's what it all boils down to, honestly, to me. I don't know about you. What's your take
Eh,
on the matter?
I mostly agree. It was there was no faith in it to succeed. There was no cohesion from anyone working on it. It was scattered, it was messy, it was sloppy, and it tried to please everyone and in the end pleased no one. It tried to be, it's a soft reboot, and then it also tried to be, never mind, it's all new, and in trying to do both, it did neither. And it's unfortunate. It doesn't I think the thing that really ticks me off the most is that at the end of the day, they tried to placate us with the most nonsensical garbage I have seen yet. I'll go ahead and put these pictures up on the video. Y'all know it, or at least I hope you guys would know it from following this channel at this point. I tried to post these. I tried to reference this on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, and I guess people just either forgot or they thought I was stupid. Which, all right. Here, there we go. Da, 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 da. So, on Twitter, they were asked, well, why did it end? They came back with these beautiful gems. Overall, the Bionicle products have been successful. Of course, some more than others, with variations across markets. And, of course, this wonderful little one here. Overall, the LEGO Bionicle products have been successful. We hope this helps answer your question. No. No. The only way they're successful is if you aimed for this, LEGO. Why are you telling us this nonsense? It's like, what? I don't get this. It's so... Maybe they're actual. Maybe it's like, yeah, no, it was successful, but we've decided that we're just gonna scrap it anyway because we're not really focused on it. Tell us that. Tell us that, yeah, no, it was only planned for this, which it wasn't. Obviously, we know that much. But don't feed us this schlock saying it was successful. It clearly was not.
Pretty much.
I don't know. That's it's just so disrespectful.
It's a complete fiasco, the whole thing. Their communication of the reasons to the community was always very bungled. It was a complete botch job from the moment that everything shook out. And it's very sad. Obviously, they are a business. I don't really expect them to delve too much in detail. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just why a decision was made. But there is a level of transparency that is appreciated, I suppose you could say, that we just did not receive.
Yeah.
Not in any form. And it's caused a bunch of ill will and memes to sprout up over the years about how, it sold well, sales were fine, and yet it was canceled. Why? It was canceled a year early than it had been. Why? Why did this happen? And the fact of the matter is, we're never really gonna know. We're never really gonna have concrete answers. But G2, I think, can still serve as a wonderful learning experience on how to make almost entirely the wrong decisions at every step. Which is a harsh thing to say because there were some good elements. But on the whole, it's a very shallow, very artificial proceeding. We talk about this a lot in the Journey to Done podcast when we're grieving at the end of JTO, but it felt like it was made by people who really wanted to appeal to old school Bionicle fans without fully understanding why people were Bionicle fans in the first place. They tried to hit all the regular, all the sensibilities, all the cliches, all the aspects of Bionicle that people gravitated to in their mind. And yet, in doing so, they missed the core. They missed what people actually liked about it. They missed that spark of mystery. They missed that sprawling story. They missed the confidence and the presence by which Bionicle displayed its story and advertised itself through its commercials, through its, advertising campaigns, through its plethora of different storytelling methods. They missed all of it, and in its place, we had Golden Masks, an Island, Tahu, Onua Kopaka, Liwa Gali Pahatu, and Makuta.
Okay. All right. I think we're done. I don't think there's anywhere more to go from here. Honestly, this entire thing, it's just been a rehash. G2 failed because LEGO did not really care about it succeeding. It's at the end of the day, everything can be summed up like that. It's just another product line. The people who ran G2 are not the people who ran G1, and they never intended for anyone that ran G1 to run G2. That's basically it. So
essentially,
there's really not much more to say. We've been talking about this for 4 years. It's like there's nothing else.
I mean, fair enough.
There's nothing else. So
fair enough.
All right.
I mean, we have a. What were you saying?
No, I want to go and wrap up.
Oh, okay. I mean, we have an audience of 115 people, so they're obviously still interested in hearing about it. But thank you all for checking in. I do appreciate it. But I suppose with that, we'll move on to questions.
Yep. We are doing 4 questions. 2 from YouTube, 2 from Patreon.
All right. Go ahead and fire them off.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I still like G2 for, for more meta reasons. Like, I like the sets. I liked the fun that I had during the early portion of things. But
likewise.
It's hard for me to say it was good. I don't think that it is a good thing.
The birth of G2 was a wonderful thing that I'm glad I got to be witness to, like I said before. And the sets were phenomenal, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else, not so much. Let's see.
Here we go. Okay. Question for number 1 from the YouTube live chat. Brendan Macedo asks, Bruno Macedo, apologies. Are you guys going to do a video on the correlation between Ninjago and Bionicle? I don't follow.
In what manner?
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about the similarities, there was a video like that planned at some point. But past that, there are a lot of similarities, and it's a fun thing worth talking about. But I doubt that Eljay and I will do a video like that.
Yeah. Maybe Anak and Jay talking about it, but I'm not sure. It's not planned. All right, question from the Patreon chat from Sakota. You talked a lot about LEGO not investing / risking enough with G2, and that's why it failed. What do you think was the reason for not giving it a show, more advertising initially? Do you think it's because it's construction? I actually think that is a super strong possibility, yeah. Because again,
80% yes.
The people that ran this were not the people that ran Bionicle G1. They weren't people who had a vested interest in construction. At least I don't think that they were. That's more speculation than anything. They don't really care if Bionicle does well. Everything else is going to get shows because it's system based. It's minifigure based, and minifigs sell.
They're new burgeoning IPs based on the standard LEGO formula that they're trying to grow and make successful. And yeah, they're the standard LEGO formula. Things that take risks, things that break from that formula, were not as high importance. I say 80% because the other 20% does think it was something to do with the LEGO movies. at that time, because that was a tumultuous period. Did the Batman movie come out in 2015 or 2016?
Yeah, here, I'll check.
The Batman movie.
Came out in
Neither.
2017.
2017. But it was in development during the time G2 was going on. And of course, the Lego Ninjago movie was planned and then got delayed. So both movies were circulating. Would not surprise me if they ate up some of Lego's finances.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I definitely think construction played a role. From the YouTube chat, Aspie Gamer asks, "Will you talk about the comics?" And we kind of did in the 2001 episode. We mentioned the comics.
Mentioned the comics and talking about. They asked a question like that earlier. Are we going to talk about the comic artists? Are we going to have an episode about comics? And yes, we are.
Yes, there's limits to what we can talk about. Neither of us are artists, for instance. So our analysis on the art might not be as in-depth as it could be. But yes, the comics will be a focal point of discussion in the future. And then from the patron chat, comment from Prentice, question from Prentice. "Instead of keeping it ambiguous, and Lego decided to either use the Vahi to directly, blatantly connect G2 to G1, or G2 is completely disconnected in its own reboot thing, instead of the sort of in-between we got, which would you have preferred?"
Disconnected.
Number one, I will always prefer facts versus ambiguity, because the ambiguity just allowed for pointless, dumb discussions to be had about the matter and people denying the obvious facts to fit their own preconceived narrative of what they wanted. It was very frustrating. But that debate was what Lego wanted. They wanted that talk. They wanted that maybe. Because in their mind, it's imagination, it's creativity, but it's also a story. And a story to work needs information. That being said, my preference, I agree. I would have rathered it be completely its own thing, and would have had nothing to do with G1 whatsoever.
Pretty much.
And then one last comment from Crunchbite.
Meso.
"What were your hopes or dreams of how G2 would pan out as first year went on?" I just wanted a deeper story. I just wanted something to connect to. I've said before, I'm not picky when it comes to stories. I just want it to be good. I want relatable characters that go through struggles, they overcome them. I wanted a world that was interesting, and I wanted to learn more about it. And I wanted a story that was more in-depth than beat up evil spider guy and skeletons to get a mask. I didn't really have any specific wish. I didn't have any specific idealized notion of what I wanted the story to be. I did for how I wanted the story to be distributed, but not for the story itself. I was pretty much down for whatever, so long as there was depth to it. So that's that.
I will agree. I don't really have a whole lot to add, honestly.
I can tell. You're ready to vominos, so I suppose we can go ahead and end. But I thank you all for coming out. This was the second highest audience retention that we have had, and I really appreciate that. Your viewership and following this show brings a smile to both of our faces and makes us feel good about keeping doing it.
My face always has a smile, because of the Muriel.
So yeah, just that. Thank you, all of you, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
So with that being said, end of episode plus.
Yes, exactly. First of all, TTV message boards, board.ttvchannel.com. 13 years or older, and you can join part of this discussion community, and Greg Farshty is on there as well. Additionally, we have Patreon, patreon.com/the TTV channel, where low as $1 a month, you can join our Patreon chat on Discord, as well as our newly made Minecraft faction server on the island of Matanui. Finally, Twitter at the TTV channel, at Mesonak, and at the LJ Johnson, JOHNSEN. I think that's it.
Very nice. That is it. All right. We'll cue up that music. We will send this out. Thank you, everyone, once again. I'm Mesonak.
I'm LJ.
Streaming to you live from a Golden Beach. This was Nak and Jay.